are here to say a few words. Will you please welcome from the Royal Birmingham Conservatoire, Professor Julian Lloyd Webber.
Thank you very much. Well, you know, I used to think I was supposed to have been born into a musical family, but are really something else. Stuart and Kadie Kanneh-Mason have raised and nurtured not just one or two or three or four or five, but 7 amazingly talented musicians. As a family, the Kanneh-Masons have defied the popular perception that playing an instrument is only something posh kids do. And they're a beacon of light in the otherwise gloomy landscape for music education. I'm sorry, I've got to say a few words about that, but I know we're all a bit depressed at the moment, but still. This has been pushed to the sidelines by a government which has removed all arts subjects from the core school curriculum. And of course this makes no sense at all on any rational level. On a financial level, the music industry alone brings in a massive £4.5 billion a year to the UK economy. On a practical level, many jobs will soon be lost to automation, but jobs in the arts will be amongst the least affected. On a social level, all our children should have a right to experience music, not just the ones with parents who can afford to pay for expensive instruments and tuition. And after 8 years of the EBAC, perhaps it's time to start looking at the correlation between the increasingly narrow range of subjects being taught at school and the nationwide epidemic of mental health problems amongst our young. Obviously they've got more importance to do. On a happier note, my own close encounters with the Kanneh-Mason family began 2 years ago when I was judging the string semi-final of BBC Young Musician 2016. The standard, as usual, was incredibly high, but still the star that is Sheku Kanneh-Mason shone brighter than all the others. Sheku went on to win the final, and I immediately asked him to play a recital at Royal Birmingham Conservatoire. I believe it's one of the first he'd ever given, and his pianist partner was his fabulously talented sister, Isata. Last night I looked out the notes that I'd made to introduce Sheku to the audience, and here's what I said. Over the years I've accrued a certain amount of knowledge about the cello, and I honestly believe that Sheku can become one of the greatest cellists of his time. And since then, I've certainly heard nothing to change my opinion. But let's get back to Stuart and Kadie. They're both incredibly modest and would have you believe that their offspring's incredible achievements have little or nothing to do with them. But I've found a clue to Stuart and Kadie's incredible commitment to their children's musical development in this comment Kadie made during an interview with The Times. The key to encouraging children to practice is to make sure that you sit with them, as it's a bit lonely for children to just go off and practice. So I would sit with each for half an hour in turn. Now, of course, in normal circumstances. So in other words, Kadie spent 3.5 hours every evening listening to her children play, and I think that that just shows how well deserved this is.